Thanks for watching Blitz. I'm Brian Carter here at Lumpkin County High School with the man, the myth, and the legendary coach, David Dowse. I know you'd like that introduction. Here at Lumpkin County, state runner-up season for you. Not the finish you wanted, Coach, but still fantastic nonetheless. And thank you, first of all, for having me out here and always being able to talk about your team.
Thank you, Brian. You do a great job covering high school athletics, and I appreciate the integrity with which you do your job.
I appreciate that. That means a lot coming from you. And let's look at the state title game. They're in the closing minutes. What's going through your mind in the closing minutes when the outcome of that game was sort of decided, and then the emotions of walking off the court there for the last time? What are all those emotions you go through?
There were a lot of emotions. There were a lot of different emotions. Most people, well, some people know, some people don't. My wife had been in the hospital all week, so I'd spent the week back and forth from the hospital to practice, back to the hospital. And fortunately, she was released after a week and was released the morning of the game. And so when I saw her in the fourth quarter, that was pretty emotional. Didn't expect her to be there. I could, we were into the fourth quarter and we knew we were going to win that game, and I could see that the girls were upset, and I really did not want them to feel in that moment like they had been anything short of amazing.
Right.
There was disappointment in the loss, but I didn't want that to take over their minds in that moment, because I wanted them to be able to appreciate that moment. And so we actually called a couple of timeouts just to talk about that. It's okay. Just play the way that you've always played, the way that got you here. Play that way for the last 2 minutes, 1 minute, whatever it was. And then when it was over, it was pretty emotional, because I knew it was the end of a run with these girls, and for me, I knew that it was the end of it's likely a career.
End of an era, yeah. Now let's go back to, I love how you end up finding a catchy little slogan or whatever you want to call it that you apply to your team each year, because you put so much thought into it. It's not just something like you do a quick search, find something trendy, and put it on there. Sagwoo is what you came up with. I was spending weeks trying to figure out if each letter meant something. I didn't know for a while. But what was it about that? How did that one come to be, and when did you sort of discover it?
Well, I knew this was going to be a special year with our senior class and with Avery and Sierra and the rest of our group. I wanted something that was representative of what I think we've stood for in the years that I've been here, what I've tried to sell to our program, and what the girls have bought into, and that's a unity, that's a togetherness, it's hometown kids, it's a lot of things, but it's one. We are one, and I think Lexi alluded to it, but we are former Cherokee territory in Dahlonega, and so I did spend a little bit of time on Google trying to find a Cherokee alphabet so that I could find how or what one was in the Cherokee language, in the Cherokee language. So it took a little doing, but I found it, and it was Sagwoo. It's kind of catchy, and I thought, well, that's us right there. So that became our hashtag.
Yeah, that was really cool. How would you sort of hit on this, but how would you, in light of that togetherness you talk about and everything that this program stands for, how would you describe the way that this season went? I mean, there's not too many lows to talk about, but every season has its challenges.
Well, I mean, we had some challenges. I mean, the challenge of playing with a target on your back, and we've been addressing that since the summer, and they knew that. We dealt with an injury early. Lexi broke her leg playing volleyball, and that was a tough blow for us to deal with, and to come back from that injury for Lexi and for all of us was tough. And we put together what I think is probably the toughest schedule that anyone in Lumpkin County in any sport has ever put together. I think Max Preps would verify that. We played the best of the best. We didn't shy away from anyone. In fact, we went across state lines to Tennessee to play some of their best. Right. And we learned a lot about ourselves. I think when we came back from Christmas, we'd yet to play our best basketball, but we made some adjustments and understood, I think learned some things that we needed to get better at, and we did. And by the end of the season, we were playing our best basketball.
You know what's weird about that too, as a side note, is that you made this really tough non-region schedule, but you could argue that the region was the toughest in the state.
Right.
Unbelievable, which I loved it. I loved how awesome that was. But let's address the elephant in the room. You made the decision recently to make public that you were calling it a career for now. I'm going to say for now. Those are my words, but how did you come to that decision? How long were you battling with that, and when did you sort of know that this is what you feel led to do?
I took this job 6 years ago, and I remember sitting in our superintendent, Dr. Brown's office, actually in front of an interview committee. Dr. Brown was one of them, and telling that I thought I had 6 or 7 years in me, you know, if I was being completely honest. And for me, the decision was more to do with the classroom than the coaching piece. What people sometimes forget as a head coach, especially in a public school, you're pulling double duty. You know, by day you're a classroom teacher, and by evening and night and weekends you're a coach, and the court becomes your classroom. I'm not getting any younger, and this season is taking a toll on me. I feel a lot older, and I feel tired, and to do justice the way I would like, the way that to hold myself accountable and do justice to both, I think would be a tall order. And I just don't, I tell the girls all the time, we got to find the juice. I just don't have the juice to do another year in the classroom. And with public schools, usually it's a partnership. If you want to coach after school, you've got to do your part of the classroom. And I have no problem with that, but I don't have the juice anymore to do both. And
how long did you sort of struggle with that?
I think I started thinking about it in December. And then, you know, in Lumpkin County, and in a lot of places, you know, they ask you kind of for a foreshadowing of things to come, a letter of intent, if you will. And there was a due date. I turned mine in on the very last day. And I just knew. People tell me all the time, people who are in retirement, you're going to know. I know. For the classroom, I know. I've been in the classroom for 34 years. I've walked into a classroom as a student or teacher 52 years in a row.
Right.
I've done all I can do, I think, in the classroom. And so those two things being paired, it was inevitable. And so I stepped down.
Yep. But you know, what you've built here and the way you've gone about it is what is so special. Getting the kids to buy in and understand that we're enough. We don't have to go to metro areas and try to, you know, not recruit people, but just try to convince them like, hey, you should come out over here. You know, you built this out of what was already here in Lumpkin County. So you use that hometown kids. Talk about that and how proud you are of being able to say we did it this way and we won a state title.
I like what you said. You said we're enough, and that's 100% accurate, Ryan. I tell people all the time, I've been a head coach 20 years, and yet early in my career, I can remember being at some summer camps and turning to friends of mine who were assistant coaches at the time and saying, one day I'm going to coach in North Georgia. We were playing at Gilmer or at Pickens, I don't even remember, and I was like, I think my calling is coaching a group like that. I think my philosophy, what I know of basketball, the things that I value most in the game, I think I can, if put in the right position, I think we can succeed. I think the girls can succeed, and I think I can professionally, and it's been nothing short of amazing. It's been everything that I dreamed it would be and more.
Oh yeah.
And to do it with these kids and to do it the way we've done it, with hometown kids, within the rules and the intent of rules, it's just, and then to see the outpouring of support that we get from a community who has that same value system, it's just a perfect fit. And I'm blessed and so grateful and thankful for the opportunity.
Yeah, and if I could, I would just love to read out some, you know, like a synopsis of your time here at Lumpkin County. 122 wins, a state championship, state runner-up finish, Final Four, 4 playoff runs, 3 region titles, and 4 different teams that you had that were state ranked. 2 years where you were ranked number 1. I mean, that is a phenomenal 6-year span, taking over a program that hadn't had more than, I think, 7 wins in about a 15-year span until you came on board. So, unbelievable career that you've had here at Lumpkin County. You mentioned, Coach, 50-some years going into a classroom, 20 years as a head coach, about 362 wins is what I've come up with. But do you have any regrets at all in all that time?
I don't think so. I've been very fortunate in all 3 places that I've been, ending here in Lumpkin, that I've been in communities and coached young people that have allowed me to be me. Mm-hmm. It's not always easy. The girls would attest to it. It's not always easy to play for me. Mm-hmm. I think it's even harder sometimes as a parent, seeing your kid get coached hard and held accountable for every detail. That's not an easy thing. I'm really, really grateful that I've been permitted to do it my way. So because I've done it my way, I don't have any regrets, no.
So here's probably the tougher question. What are you going to miss the most?
It's easy. That's the easiest part. It's not. It's the relationships. Mm-hmm. That's the easiest question you've asked me. And it's already started. There are times I come to school in the morning, I pull into the lot and I sit there before I can get out of my car. I'm gonna miss the girls a lot.
Yeah,
it's tough.
And you've coached even before you got here, Coach. You've had some great programs, won a lot of games, had some great teams, great individuals that you've coached. But this group that you had here at Lumpkin County, this particular, I don't even want to say it's the senior class, but let's just say the Fad 5 this year when you count Avery and Sierra too. In all your years of coaching, you're looking at really 4 girls on this team that are 1,000-point scorers. Kate missed an entire year and still was very, very close. I've never seen a team like that. In all your years of coaching, how special is this group?
Incredibly special. It's the best collection of talent that I've ever coached in a single season or 2 seasons now. And that in and of itself would make any coach happy. Mm-hmm. But as the girls have said and you've witnessed, it's the way they play together. Mm-hmm. It's the unselfishness. It's the buy-in. And that's what really, really makes it special. Yes, they're talented, but the fact that they're best friends and going to practice is enjoyable. Mm-hmm. And the bus rides are enjoyable. And everything that people don't see that's not apparent on game day, all those little things are what make it really enjoyable. And when you have a group like that, that's every day. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and it almost never happens that way. I've never seen a team this talented and this special before. So here's the last question, and this one's probably my easiest one for you, maybe. What's next for Coach Dowse? Because that's what everyone wants to know. I joke when I say it's an easy question.
I really don't know. I know that I'm going to spend some time, spend some more time with my granddaughter. Mm-hmm. I know that I'm going to be at some North Georgia basketball games and some Emory and some Emmanuel basketball games next year. I'll be doing something at some point. My contract will be up in June. Honest to goodness, I have no plans right now. My wife says don't worry about it, but I don't hunt and I don't golf and and I don't have and I don't fish, so I don't have any hobbies. This is for a lifetime. This has been my hobby. It's been my passion. It's been my hobby. My wife says don't worry about it. We'll see when I'm around the house all the time.
Yeah.
You know how long that lasts.
She might make it a hobby.
She's gonna find me a hobby. I really don't know. I don't know.
Okay. Well, Coach, wherever you go, I know you're going to have success in whatever you do. And congratulations on one heck of a career.
Thank you.
It's been awesome.
Thank you, Brian. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Coach.